Yes, I one day I went. I was years ago. I studied Chinese studies at University of Sydney, Chinese language, and I went back to see my old teachers. And there was a job for Hong Kong as an editorial assistant at the Research Centre for Translation, Chinese University. And I did the test and I got in. And I thought, oh yes, this is just a 1 year contract. Even if it's just 1 year, it's worthwhile coming for the experience. But 27 years later, I'm here. I mean, I came in October 97. I knew that I was going to come in about before the actual handover. I did start watching the handover in television, but I thought this is boring, so I didn't watch it. But I have watched it since on YouTube. But I think because I came a few months after their handover, I became interested in how Hong Kong dealt with the change, how they talked about the change. And coming from Australia with a fully democratic system, I was really interested how they talked about the previous colonialism and the change. So as a result, I did a master's in applied linguistics, and I really focus on the meaning behind underneath language, something called discourse analysis. So I followed politics quite closely. I joined the Civic Party in 2007 when I started my PhD. And I've been in like many protests. I followed the umbrella movement very closely and interacted with a lot of Hong Kong peoples in it. And I really feel like strongly about taking part in these movements. And a lot of long-term non-Chinese people don't, and I don't understand why, although I do know several who did take part. And so I kind of wanted to write about it. And I've done some academic books, but the trouble is there's a limited audience for academic books. And during the pandemic, I started writing a metaphor a year, one for every year. And I thought, oh, the trouble is that it's not kind of a mainstream thing. So finding a publisher to do it. And then I had come across Arts and Culture Hong Kong through something else. And I thought, oh, why not just talk to them about it, and then they seemed to be really interested. And so I kind of worked more on the project. And because my PhD was about how Hong Kong talks about democracy and universal suffrage, and I finished it in 2012. So I looked at the first 7 years of Hong Kong. And I had what I did with metaphors, how people took up metaphors, how they changed them. Like, for example, I said before that Hong Kong is like living in a birdcage, but now it's because of this happened, now it's a coffin. So I looked at how metaphors were repeated, how they changed. And I've still got so many metaphors that I kind of wanted to use. And I just had this, and also Hong Kong politics can be a little bit hard for people to think of, and their eyes glaze over and everything. So I thought this way is more accessible to have like, I don't know. I think you wanted to ask a question about my favorite metaphor. Do you want me to talk about it now, or why I chose durians for the cover?
Yes. That would be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason why I chose durian is because in 2021, someone said that selecting chief executive is like selecting a durian. Like it's best that someone else do it. Like I think they're referring to the electoral committee because they can take the bother out of selecting. They have good knowledge about what makes a good leader or whatever. And so I'm on one page I have that, and on the other page I have cultural reference about durians, because I thought like a lot of metaphors relate to culture. So like, how do you select a durian? So like when I did my PhD and I came across this metaphor, I did have to look up how to select a durian. And another favorite metaphor of mine is sweat is like bleach, from 2023 with the big march in 2023 about the Article 23. And because if you ever marched in July, one of the July 1st marches, it's damn hot, extremely hot. So you literally sweated, but the sweat did act like bleach because then it was taken off the agenda a short while after. I was going to say, yeah. So, and remember, this was a time of SARS. So the memory of using bleach a lot was very prominent. So, and I thought, oh yeah, 2003 can be can be bleached. Like I only had sort of metaphors from databases up to the end of 2007. So for the rest of the years, I kind of was, because I followed everything really closely, I sort of gave a metaphor for the thing. And like the national security law was described as a sword, and the electoral reform was described as a shield. So I kind of put those in the thing. And I just think that this is my way of giving back to Hong Kong, is to write about it. And regarding kind of like freedom in Hong Kong, I mean, I think you still can speak, but for example, I'm in an organization called Women in Publishing Society, and I can't publicize this because I don't want politics or any of the things, because I got politics in the title, you know. And I wanted to tell, I've also been involved in Hong Kong storytelling, where you get up and tell a true story, and they have a theme for the spoken word evenings. And I had an interesting experience during 2019 in November, where there was the university things of Chinese U, and I was stuck in it took me about like 12 hours to get home from Diamond Hill, stuck on a bus. And my journey all the way from Diamond Hill to Taipo from 9 p.m. till 11 a.m. the next day. I couldn't do that because and I said, look, I'm not talking about politics. I'm just talking about the interesting journey. Oh, but no, it's politics. So you can't really raise it. And that's why I sort of needed really an overseas publisher for that. But yeah, so it's sad that I do miss not being able to protest, even though technically we can. But I still don't believe in censoring myself. I'm not being done anything kind of outrageously. But for example, I think they must know about me, because when I was writing the academic book, this one, I had to write to the Information Services Bureau because I needed screenshots from some small films about the national security law that was just broadcast just after the introduction of the NSL. And I didn't get a reply from them, but I got a reply from the Security Bureau. So I had a few emails. We're still deciding whether that you can use screenshots for this. And ultimately they said no. So in the book, I said, look, I wanted to put some screenshots of the films that I was analyzing, but I couldn't because I refused permission. I don't know why, because it's perfectly available and you can actually see it now online. So it's not like it's secret or anything. But so we don't really have any politics anymore in Hong Kong. But I still have one idea of a book that it's under review by Routledge. And I do one of the things, and I'm sort of looking at art and political stuff. And I would write a bit about art and talk to some artists from the Nordé people, the Arts and Culture Hong Kong. But I don't know, they're still waiting for some reviewers to come back in. So I don't know whether they're going to approve that. But anyway, so I'm raving on. So I'll answer any questions later on.
Yeah, wow. And actually, like, for me to help publishing this book, the most interesting thing is while you tell that you have all these metaphors, and then you were thinking, oh, maybe you shall like use some of your pictures, like you did some pictures already.
I did have photographs, yes.
Yeah, for some photos, and then eventually I was like, maybe we can try to find a illustrator that to help in between. And then she was like also volunteering herself to do the illustration. And then eventually I think the book, it looks really interesting itself, also because of this illustration. So what is your experience like how do you feel actually to work with us and also with the illustrator herself?
I think the illustrations are better because, I mean, I have photographs, but all of them didn't quite suit. And then sometimes they're not always a good quality to put on publication, although I do figure out a way to make them better. But and this makes it more consistent. So, I really, really like the illustrations. And in the book too, I mean, I've got about explaining the cultural aspects of the metaphor. But also now and again, I put in some personal reflections. And I think I felt more freer than the academic book, and I kind of want to I want to write more about politics. And I kind of would like to do a political novel, but I'm waiting for inspiration. But yeah, I want to do fewer academic things. It's like, although I do work part time at some universities, I'm very low level, and also I just think I want to be. I mean, I think this is going to be more readable than the other stuff.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to do more. I still actually I did put a thing with Hong Kong U, like I have in my PhD. I've got a chronology. Actually, this chapter is 150 pages, which sounds funny in a PhD. Anyway, because it was a chronology of 10 years. And I kind of wanted, I sort of thought it didn't get to a review stage for them, but I still kind of like it because it's like a nitty gritty story of the first 10 years. Like someone, this happened, and then the metaphor, you're starting a universal suffrage cultural revolution. And there's lots of political books about Hong Kong, but if you read this as a chronology, it's kind of like an in-depth story, like, oh yeah, pan Democrats did this, and someone said, you're like this or like this. So it's just like, it'd be like kind of a story. So I'm still thinking about, I still would like to do something with that, but I don't know whether it would really fit in any publishing thing. I might just tidy it up and take out all the nitty gritty academic stuff and then just get it kind of printed for my own thing and see what I could do with it. But I am running out of stuff to talk about the national security law. I don't think I can speak about it anymore, although this potential proposal will have something in it. But yeah,
Yeah,
but
I just saw you, like, you just talk about your book that is talking about the second colonial, like from China of Hong Kong. So can you show us again, like, the book?
it's called Hong Kong's Second Return to China: A Critical Discourse Study of the National Security Law and Its Aftermath. And I've got basically a background chapter, why it's called the Second Return, national security in the Chinese context, selling the national security law, ensuring patriots administer Hong Kong, about the electoral reform, education, a chapter on education under the national security law, civil society, Hong Kong democracy, activists in self-exile, and the future of one country, two systems, where it's kind of one of the reviewers of the manuscript said, oh, she's introducing new stuff in the last chapter, but I kind of started talking about John Lee, talking about telling new stories about Hong Kong, good stories about Hong Kong. So I talked about museum representations and archives, and also about now that they've sort of, we've done away with the hard resistance, but underlying all this is we've still got to be ultra careful. So they're targeting something called soft resistance, which is technically not illegal. I can't publicize my work, because they're ultra careful. I can understand that to a certain extent, but I don't know. I haven't felt particularly fearful. Maybe this book will bring me notoriety, and if they make me leave Hong Kong, well, that's okay.
Then we'll see you here, though.
I don't know.
So eventually we will see you in person and signing the books.
Yes. Yeah, I might have to be a refugee, but I just go back to Australia. But the thing is, I don't have money, so that's the issue. But anyway, but I kind of really quite like this little book, and I know somebody who's ordered it already.
Yeah.
So and I have some friends who are good to me, so I gave them one copy. I've written an article in the Mekong Review, because I was a walk through the National Security exhibition at the Museum of History, and I'm sort of, if I do this new book, if it gets accepted, I will do a chapter on that expanded. Although saying that, even if I didn't get that book proposal accepted, that chapter, because I thought they hadn't replied to me, so I kind of sent this out because I applied to, it's like a legal discourse, semiotics encyclopedia. So I would do something about that for this encyclopedia, even if the book proposal doesn't come through. I don't know why I'm doing this, because it doesn't bring me money.
Same with us. Yeah.
And any profits from this goes back to Norday and Arts and Culture Hong Kong. So,
Yeah.
but I don't regret it, and I'm glad I was really involved in all these protests. And like before the Hong Kong storytellers stopped me doing anything political, but this was still around the national security law time. It was the theme was community, and I talked about this hug I got from a Hong Kong person. It was the anniversary of the umbrella movement, and I was outside the Lennon Wall at ACHKI, and someone ran up and gave me a hug, and I was really moved by that. Actually,
Yeah.
I've had several hugs by Hong Kongers I've never met before, so I mean,
Right.
they can be quite emotional too. And I've written that there is a website called hongkongprotesting.com. I don't know whether you heard of a literary magazine called Cha.
Mm-hmm.
Cha literary thing. Tammy Ho does it, and I've had some poems published through Verse and Voice, and also reviews and stuff like that. So, and she set up a website called hongkongprotesting.com, and I've got a few things on that. So I'm still not afraid of posting things. I don't know why that I'm not afraid, but yeah, but raising it with people can be problematic. So unless you know the person and you think, okay, I think I can talk about that, or at least indirectly. But I think people just thought, because people don't know where the red lines are, so they prefer to kind of err on the side of caution.